All right, let's dive in. Today, we're all about self-motivation, that elusive thing we all want more of.
Absolutely. And we've got this awesome article from Coursera, How to Motivate Yourself. 11 tips for self-improvement to unpack. So many good tips.
Perfect. And I know our listeners are all about practical advice, so let's jump right in.
Well, the article starts with a kind of cool trick, almost like brain magic. Have you ever noticed, like when you put something on your calendar, even way in advance,
Oh, yeah.
it suddenly feels more real?
Oh, totally. It's like, okay,
Yes.
this is happening now. It's not a maybe someday thing. But
Yeah.
what's the psychology behind that? Why does that work?
It's actually a thing called the calendar effect, and it's not just about like feeling accountable to the date. It messes with how our brains think about time and effort. Longer deadlines can make us feel like, ugh, this task is huge.
Right, even if it's not really any bigger than something with a short deadline.
Exactly. Like, haven't you noticed sometimes scrambling last minute feels easier than chipping away at something for months?
Oh, 100%. It's like my brain goes into overdrive
Hmm.
when the pressure's on. So for those big long-term goals, would you say I should be breaking them down more?
There's this fascinating thing called the goal gradient effect. The closer we get to a goal, the more we want to go get it. So even with a distant deadline, if you have many deadlines, you tap into that urgency.
Like checkpoints along the way, each one feels like a little victory.
Exactly. It's like when they build skyscrapers, they don't just wait to celebrate when it's done, they celebrate topping out the structure, each phase. Keeps everyone going.
Okay, so instead of one giant finish line, I need a roadmap with smaller goals along the way. I love that analogy.
Even in your world, think if instead of just yearly targets, you had quarterly ones to report on, the pressure and the excitement would be different.
Okay, I'm pumped just think about it. But deadlines are only part of the equation, right?
Yeah.
We got to make those goal actions into habits so we're not just relying on willpower all the time.
Totally. The calendar is a great kickstart, but habits are the engine. And for that, there's this cool trick, implementation intention. Instead of just wanting to do something, you make a plan.
An if-then plan.
Yeah, instead of like, I want to exercise more, it's if it's 7 a.m., then I'm going for a run.
Ah, so you're basically pre-programming your brain to act on autopilot, takes the decision-making out of it.
Exactly. You link a cue, the time or a part of your routine, to the action you want to make automatic.
It's like piggybacking on an existing habit. Are there any other examples from the article or that you've seen work?
Oh, yeah. They talk about pairing your first coffee with 5 minutes of studying, small things that can snowball. What's something you could piggyback on in your day?
Hmm. I always make tea first thing. Maybe if I'm making tea, then I spend 10 minutes brainstorming.
Boom. You're already doing it. Even when you're not feeling super motivated, that tiny action can get you going.
Like tricking my brain into getting started. Then I'm actually in the flow and enjoying it. This is brilliant. But we all hit roadblocks, right?
And that's where the next strategy comes in. Planning for imperfection. You're not a robot. Have a plan B for when things go wrong.
Because they do go wrong. It's less about avoiding them and more about being prepared, right?
Exactly. And there's this method for that. Whoopee! Wish, outcome, obstacle, plan.
So my wish, let's say, is to finally launch that online course.
Yeah.
Then the outcome, like feeling accomplished and helping people learn.
Yes. Then brainstorm obstacles. Not enough time to record lessons. Maybe the tech stuff feels overwhelming. Even just self-doubt.
And for the plan part, for each obstacle, I come up with solutions. So for time, blocking out specific hours on my calendar. For tech stuff, maybe taking a course myself or finding a techie friend.
Yeah.
And self-doubt, reminding myself of past successes.
You're getting it. They even talk about things like, imagine you're recording and the internet goes out. Super frustrating. But if you have the materials downloaded in advance or a backup location with Wi-Fi, you're not totally derailed.
Having those backup plans makes you feel more in control, less likely to panic.
Exactly. That feeling of, I got this, is so key to staying motivated. It's not just pushing through, it's feeling confident you can handle anything.
Whoop, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for sure. But let's talk about something else that feels so important. Celebrating small wins.
Yes. It might seem small, but it makes a huge difference to your overall motivation.
It's like that famous speech about making your bed every morning seems tiny, but that sense of accomplishment sets you up for the day.
Exactly. And it's not just a nice idea. There's research showing those small successes, especially early on in a project, build your belief that you can do the big thing.
So instead of focusing on writing a whole book, maybe I focus on writing one page today.
Mm.
Much more manageable.
And each time you hit a small win, your brain's like, yes, We did it. It reinforces the positive feeling, makes you want to keep going.
It's like those little bursts of motivation that keep you fueled up. We get so fixated on the end goal, we forget to enjoy the journey, right?
It's all about finding those moments to celebrate along the way, no matter how small. Which brings us to the next strategy. Tracking your progress, those little wins add up.
Ooh, I'm a visual person. I love a good tracker.
Hmm.
To-do list, progress bar, even just crossing days off a calendar. So satisfying. But how does that actually motivate you?
They don't just show progress, they trigger your brain's reward system. Seeing those check marks, the bar filling up, it releases dopamine, which makes you feel good.
So it's like a little reward every time you move forward, especially when you might be feeling discouraged.
Exactly. It keeps you focused and organized, and that alone can be motivating, less overwhelming.
It's all making so much sense. But let's be real, sometimes we need an extra push. Even with all these strategies, what about rewards?
Rewards are awesome for that. They tap right into that reward system. The key is to find rewards that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be fancy or expensive.
So not booking a trip every time I finish a small task. What are some smaller things that people find work?
Oh, the article had a bunch. Like taking a walk in nature, reading a chapter of your favorite book, listening to a podcast.
How about how simple those are? It's about making the journey enjoyable, not just the destination.
And it creates positive associations with your goals.
Yeah.
You're training your brain to link those goals with good feelings.
This is great. It's not about forcing yourself. It's about finding things you genuinely enjoy and using them as fuel. I'm loving this whole making it enjoyable theme.
And it ties into the next idea, which might be surprising, the power of community.
Now, when I hear community, I think like group events, which isn't really my scene. How does that work for self-motivation, especially if you're more of a solo person?
It's not always about big groups. It's about your tribe, even just a few people who get you and your goals. Think about it. Have you ever been more likely to stick to a workout plan if a friend's meeting you at the gym?
Okay, yeah, knowing someone's counting on me does help, but I'm not a group fitness class kind of person.
It's not always literal. Think about your goals. Is there an online forum for your field where people share their progress? Or a local group that meets up, even just to chat about challenges? Even just telling one person your plans can make a difference.
So it's about having that support system, even if it's from afar, knowing you're not alone in the struggle.
There's actual research on this. People who feel part of a team, even for individual goals, they stick with it longer and do better. It's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That makes so much sense. Even for someone who likes working independently, you can still benefit from that sense of connection. Right? I love that.
It's powerful. And speaking of surprising sources of motivation, did you know that gratitude can actually make you better at self-improvement?
Wait, really? I thought being grateful would make you less driven, like I have enough, why push for more?
It's a common myth. But when you focus on what you're grateful for, it changes your mindset. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, you're appreciating what's there, and that can give you energy to create even more good stuff.
So it's not settling, it's using what you have as fuel, but how does gratitude actually lead to action?
When you're genuinely thankful for your opportunities, you want to use them well, right? It's like, I don't want to waste this.
Okay, I get that feeling of I'm lucky, I better make the most of it, but isn't there a danger of becoming complacent if you focus too much on gratitude?
That's where the action comes in. Gratitude's not passive, it's an active choice. It's about appreciating what you have, indeed, then using that energy to do more, not just a feeling, it's fuel.
So it's a springboard for growth, not an excuse to stop. How can we practically weave gratitude into our daily lives to make it motivating?
There are tons of ways, but a popular one is a gratitude journal.
I've heard of those, never tried it though. Is it really helpful to write down things you're grateful for?
It trains your brain to focus on the positive. You're literally rewiring your thinking to be more aware of good things.
Like a mental workout for gratitude. What if some days it's hard to find things to be grateful for?
Totally normal. Start small. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be a cup of coffee, a sunny day, a nice interaction with someone.
Makes it less pressure, more about noticing those everyday joys.
Exactly. And don't forget expressing gratitude to others. A thank you note, a phone call, acknowledging someone's effort, all of that matters.
Such small things, but they make a difference. I'm going to try being more intentional about gratitude for myself and for others.
I think you'll be amazed by how much it can shift things. And speaking of things that can make a big difference, we have to talk about mood. It plays a huge role in motivation.
Oh, for sure. Some days I'm unstoppable, others it's hard just to get started. How much does our mood actually affect our motivation?
More than we realize. The article talks about how a positive mood and productivity are super linked. When we feel good, our brains release dopamine, and that makes us want to do things.
So it's not just forcing ourselves, it's about setting the right emotional stage. But what about those days when a bad mood just won't quit? How do we shift that to get motivated?
Exercise is a big one. Even a little bit can change everything.
I've noticed that. A quick walk or some stretches can make a world of difference. Why is exercise so powerful for mood?
Endorphins. When we move, our brains release those feel-good chemicals. They're like natural mood boosters.
Plus, there's the sense of accomplishment, like, hey, I did that, even if it's just a little bit.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be intense. A walk, a bike ride, a dance class, whatever you enjoy.
Thinking about all the options is already making me feel better. But what about those days when exercise feels impossible? Any other mood-boosting tricks that are a little easier?
Oh, tons. Spending time in nature is another great one.
I love nature. There's something so peaceful about it. But how does that actually boost your mood and motivation?
There's a ton of research showing that nature reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and makes you feel happier. Our brains just love being outdoors.
Like a reset button for your whole system. And it doesn't have to be a huge hike. Even a few minutes outside can help.
Exactly, and you can combine it with other strategies. Listen to a podcast while you walk, brainstorm ideas in the park, even just practice gratitude while you're out there.
I love that. So many ways to make it work for you.
Mm.
But sometimes you need a more immediate fix, right? Like when you're stuck and need a quick mood boost.
Definitely. A little instant gratification can work wonders. The article suggests watching a funny video, listening to upbeat music, even just doing something you love for a few minutes.
Reading, tea, calling a friend, those little things can totally shift your perspective, make it easier to get back to work.
Exactly. And then there's another strategy for when you're really stuck, the power of novelty.
Novelty. Trying something new.
Exactly. The novelty effect is a real thing. When we encounter something new, our brains get more engaged. Think about how much easier it is to learn about a totally new subject versus one you've studied for years.
That's so true. The information feels fresh and exciting. So if I'm trying to stay motivated while learning, I should actively seek out new things.
Yes. New subjects, new perspectives, even new ways of learning. Keep your brain engaged.
Okay, I love that. It's like constantly feeding my curiosity. This has been so insightful. I'm realizing self-motivation is more nuanced than I thought.
It's not just willpower, it's working with your brain, not against it.
Exactly, and there's so many ways to do that. Calendar tricks, habit hacks, small rewards, community support, and now, novelty.
Don't forget gratitude.
Oh, right. Gratitude, and even using our moods to our advantage. I'm feeling so much more equipped to tackle my goals now.
It's been great diving deep with you. Remember, the key is to experiment, find what works for you, and never stop learning.
And to our listeners, remember, you have the power within you to achieve amazing things. So go chase those dreams.
You got this.
This has been incredible. We've covered so much already, so let's pause here. We'll pick back up with even more strategies in part 2 of this deep dive on self-motivation.
Stay tuned. There's so much more to uncover.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We were just talking about those little rewards, how they can keep you going.
Such a good point. Those small celebrations make a difference. But there was something else in this article, and honestly, I'm a little skeptical. The whole positive peer pressure thing.
Oh yeah, the power of community, they call it.
Yeah.
I get that accountability can help, but peer pressure, to me, sounds like being forced to do something you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
How's that positive?
It's all about the kind of pressure and the
Yeah.
kind of group you're with. Think about it. Have you ever been more likely to actually work out if you know a friend's waiting for you at the gym?
Yeah, I guess knowing someone's counting on me does help, but I'm not a group fitness class person. Not my thing.
Doesn't have to be that literal. What are your goals? Is there an online forum for your field where people share their progress? Maybe a local group, even if they just meet up to chat about what's working and what's not. Even just telling one person your plans can help.
So less about being surrounded by people all the time, more about having that feeling of support.
Yeah, like you're not alone in this, someone out there gets it. And there's research showing that feeling part of a team, even for individual stuff, makes people stick with it longer and they do better. It's like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's a good one. Okay, so even if you're someone who enjoys working on your own, that community aspect can still be a game changer. You know, there's another point in here that I found kind of surprising, the connection between gratitude and motivation.
Right. You'd think being grateful would make you less driven, like, I'm happy with what I have.
That's what I thought.
But it's the opposite. Focusing on gratitude actually fuels self-improvement.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Explain this to me.
It shifts your mindset. Instead of, I don't have enough, it's, look at all this good stuff. And that can energize you to create even more good stuff.
Not about settling. It's about using what you have as fuel. But how does that actually translate into action?
Well, if you're truly grateful for your opportunities, you're going to want to use them wisely, right? You don't want to waste them.
Yeah, like, I'm lucky to have this. I better make the most of it. But doesn't that risk making you complacent if you're too focused on being grateful?
That's where the action part is key. Gratitude's not just sitting there feeling thankful. It's appreciating what you have A&D, using that energy to do more.
So it's a starting point, not a stopping point. How do we actually cultivate that kind of gratitude, the kind that motivates you?
There are tons of ways, but a really popular one is a gratitude journal.
I've heard of those, never tried it though. What's so great about writing down things you're grateful for?
It trains your brain to focus on the positive. By writing it down, you're making yourself more aware of the good stuff.
A gratitude workout? I like it. But what about days when it feels hard to find things to be grateful for?
Totally normal. Start small. Doesn't have to be big, life-changing stuff. Could be a cup of coffee, a sunny day, a nice interaction with someone, just little things.
Makes it less overwhelming, more about noticing those everyday joys.
Exactly. And don't underestimate expressing gratitude to others. A thank you note, a call to a friend, just acknowledging their effort. All of that matters.
Such small things, but they can really make someone's day. I'm definitely going to try being more intentional about gratitude for myself and for others.
It can be a real game changer. And since we're talking about things that make a difference, got to talk about mood. Huge part of motivation.
Oh, 100%. Some days I feel like I could do anything. Others, just getting started is a struggle. How much does our mood actually affect our motivation, though?
Way more than we think. The article talks about this strong link between feeling good and being productive. When we're in a good mood, our brains release dopamine, and that makes us want to take action.
So it's not all about forcing ourselves, it's creating the right emotional environment. But what about when a bad mood just won't go away? How do we shift that to get motivated?
Exercise is a big one. Even a little bit can make a huge difference.
I've definitely noticed that. A quick walk, some stretches, and I feel so much better. Why is exercise so good for your mood?
Endorphins. When you move your body, your brain releases those feel-good chemicals, instant mood booster.
And there's that feeling of accomplishment, too, even if it's just a little bit of movement.
Right. Doesn't have to be intense. A walk, a bike ride, a dance class, anything you enjoy.
Already feeling more energized just thinking about it. What if exercise feels impossible, though? Any other mood-boosting tricks that are a little easier?
Tons. Spending time in nature is another one that works really well.
I love being in nature, so peaceful. But how does that actually translate to better mood and motivation?
Well, research shows that nature reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and improves mood. It's like our brains are wired to respond to it positively.
Like hitting the reset button? And doesn't have to be a huge thing. Even a few minutes outside can help.
Exactly. And you can combine it with other things. Listen to a podcast on your walk, brainstorm ideas in a park, even practice gratitude while you're out there.
Love that. So many ways to personalize it. But sometimes you just need a quick fix, right? Like when you're stuck in a rut and need a mood boost right now.
Totally. Instant gratification has its place. The article mentioned watching a funny video, listening to upbeat music, or even just doing something you enjoy for a few minutes.
Ah, those little moments of joy can really make a difference, make it easier to get back on track.
They really can. And there's one more strategy for those times when you feel really stuck: the power of novelty.
Novelty, like doing something new.
Yes, the novelty effect is a real thing. When we experience something new, our brains perk up. Think about how much easier it is to learn about a totally new subject versus one you've studied for years.
So true. It's like the newness makes the information more interesting. So if I'm trying to learn something and stay motivated, I should actively seek out new things.
Exactly. New subjects, new perspectives, even new ways of learning.
I love that. Keep your brain on its toes. This is all making me realize self-motivation is way more than just willpower. It's about working with how your brain works.
Exactly, not against it.
And there are so many tools we can use: the calendar, habits, rewards, community, and now novelty.
And gratitude, don't forget that one.
Oh, right. Gratitude. And even our mood can be an ally. I'm feeling way more equipped to tackle my goals now. This has been so helpful.
It's been great diving deep with you. The key is to try things out, see what works best for you, and keep learning.
And to our listeners, you have the power to achieve amazing things. Go for it.
You got this.
This has been amazing. So much good stuff, but we've covered a lot, so let's pause here. Back soon with even more strategies and ability. Part 3 of our self-motivation deep dive.
Stay tuned.
Back again. So many great self-motivation tips already.
And we've saved some of the best for last.
Okay, I'm excited. Lay it on me. What's the secret weapon for getting motivated?
Well, we talked goals, habits, your support system, even gratitude and mood, but sometimes you just got to shake things up.
You mean like trying new things?
Exactly. The novelty effect, it can be a game changer. Have you ever noticed how much easier it is to focus on a brand new project versus one you've been working on forever?
Totally. It's like my brain gets a jolt of energy, all these new ideas start flowing. But how do we ease that without getting distracted from our actual goals?
It's all about being strategic,
Yeah.
not ditching your current stuff, just adding some freshness to it. If you're stuck writing, switch from your laptop to pen and paper, maybe work from a coffee shop for a bit. Workout routine, getting boring. Try a new class, a different route, even a different time of day.
So it's like tricking your brain into thinking it's new, even if the task is the same at its core.
And it works. It breaks through that mental fatigue, helps you see things differently, which can lead to breakthroughs and that motivation boost you need.
It's like when I'm learning something new, it's so much more engaging when the topic is totally unfamiliar.
Exactly. That newness makes it stick. So if you want to stay motivated while you're learning, seek out new stuff, new perspectives, maybe even try learning in a different way.
Keep that brain stimulated. Makes sense. Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to the why thing. We touched on that earlier.
Ah, yes. The why is the core. It's what keeps you going when things get tough. The deeper reason behind your goals.
We talked about visualizing success, really feeling those emotions. Are there other ways to tap into that and use it as fuel?
One powerful way is connecting your goals to something bigger, a sense of purpose.
So it's not just about achieving something for yourself, but about making a positive impact on the world, on others.
Exactly. Think about those goals that truly light you up. Are they connected to helping others, contributing to a cause, making a difference in your community? When your goals have that purpose, your motivation goes through the roof.
Because it's not just about you, there's a bigger reason behind it.
That's so powerful. How do you know if you've found the right why, the one that'll really stick with you?
That's a tough one, no easy answer, but ask yourself, does this goal make me feel excited, truly energized? Does it align with my values? Does it feel like I'm contributing to something bigger?
If you can say yes to all that, sounds like you're on the right track. And remember, your why can change. It's okay for it to evolve as you grow and change. That's all part of the journey.
Wow, this has been incredible. My whole perspective on self-motivation has shifted. I feel like I have a whole new toolbox now.
I'm so glad. The key is to experiment, see what works for you, and never stop learning.
So true. And to everyone listening out there, remember, you have the power to achieve incredible things, so go after those dreams, find your why, and never give up.
You got this.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another exciting exploration.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.